Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Built Environment Marketing Show, which I can't even say, live here on LinkedIn. And yep, it's me again, Io. So if you're joining us live, I came up with a new icebreaker question. I was researching this yesterday. So do tell me something that you're looking to get out of this session today. So if you can just put something in the comments, that will be great. And we can see them, read them. And also it tells us that you can actually see us, because we have had issues in the past, haven't we, Stacey, where we broadcast live and nobody could actually get on and see us stream on StreamYard. So yeah, that's why. So if some of you can say hello, that'd be awesome. So anyway, it's Wednesday, hump day, day 3 of my LinkedIn Live podcast interviews. And today we're looking at how to get your LinkedIn profile basically firing on all cylinders, or your activity firing on all cylinders. And my special guest today is, I'm going to say, is a former property journo, all-round amazing writer, LinkedIn devotee, and a good friend who has to tolerate my madcap ideas. So she gets the messages from me going, I've had this idea, I'm going to go live, I'm going to do this. And she's always like, oh. So it's Stacey Meadwell. And did you like my intro? I wrote that last night. I was like, oh, I like this.
Love it. 20 quid's in the post.
Would you like to introduce yourself, or can you top that?
I don't know if I can top that. And I'm back at you on the bouncing the ideas, because I'm always throwing thoughts at you, and we meet up regularly to kind of bounce on madcap business ideas. And anyway, yeah. So yeah, I'm a former B2B property journalist turned content creator for businesses in the built environment. And I support businesses by either writing content for them or training them to write their own content. That's what I do in a nutshell.
Fantastic. So let's kick on with this. I can't see any comments yet, so if anyone could write anything, I'd be really happy, just so that we can see that we are actually live. First question is, does LinkedIn work to grow business?
Well, I think it depends on how you use LinkedIn. You know, it's not like a case of if you just go onto LinkedIn and post something, you're automatically going to get reams and reams of businesses approaching you, knocking on your door saying, I want to work with you. It's all about your strategy. If you are a lurker on LinkedIn, that's somebody who goes and reads other people's stuff and doesn't actually get involved and engage in any way, then it's not going to bring you business. If you don't post, or if you post and ghost, or if you just post and use it as a broadcast, then it's only going to get you so far. So I would say, yes, it does work if you use it properly. And I have got leads from LinkedIn, and also existing contacts and clients will sometimes use LinkedIn to get in touch with me because I'm visible, I'm staying front of mind. So it's a combination. I'm not going to say I get tons and tons and tons of completely cold leads from LinkedIn, because I don't, but it's a good way of keeping in contact with my network and people in the market, and staying front of mind.
Brilliant. I think staying front of mind is one of the key things. It's like, I always think LinkedIn's a kind of like, is it your digital shop window? It's a way of staying front of mind, people knowing you're there, kind of, and that's the thing, is that when I am suddenly at that stage of wanting to buy, you want to be that first person that kind of pops into someone's head. And I always think that's what you want to be, and that's why you do LinkedIn, because then people go, oh, who do I know who knows about built environment marketing? And they go, Io, because I talk about
absolutely. And I've had existing clients that I've done certain types of work for, that have seen me writing about other stuff and have got in touch and go, oh, could you work with us on that? And I've ended up working with them on something different to what I've worked with them before on. So it's all about that staying front of mind.
Fantastic. So just before we kind of, people can hear us. Fantastic. Thanks, Emma. Thanks, the Hap. We can hear you. Hello. Hi. And also Hannah Cox has got a question for us, which I'll take towards the end. So we have got people online. Yes. And my other thing was, if you have any questions, I forgot to say, please do put them in the comments, and we'll get to those at the end as well. So no worries on that. So my next question is, isn't LinkedIn just about likes and no tangible business? Now, I know this is a comment that I've heard when I've worked in consultancies, and a grey-haired old man has said this about marketing and social.
Yeah, I've heard similar comments, but it comes back to how you use it and what your reason for being on LinkedIn is. I mean, obviously today we're focusing on business and using it as a marketing tool. I mean, there are lots of other reasons to be on LinkedIn, you know, like learning stuff, building your network, recruitment, if you want to recruit people into your business.
Research is one that's really useful as well.
Research is really, really good. I mean, to that comment, I'd say it just depends on how you use it. You know, if you're not actively engaging, if you don't have a strategy, it's like any form of marketing, really. You've got to have a strategy. You've got to have a plan for what you want to get out of it. So, you know, yes, you can chase likes. If you want to chase likes, you can chase likes. If that's your role, you know, if that's your goal, you know. And actually, we've had this conversation recently about, you know, posts going viral, doing really well, and it's kind of I'm not chasing that. I'm chasing more qualified connections and more qualified leads. And actually, I found when I have had posts go a little bit crazy, it ends up being really, really time consuming, because you get lots of random people commenting and
commenting random things, like your things like, this has nothing to do with me, or you're a real predator, I really don't want to talk to you, and then you're like, I want to stay away from you.
So I would rather have far fewer likes, but know that they are my target audience and, you know, the people that I want to talk to, than have a post go viral and have, you know, loads and loads and loads of likes, but it's a lot of people that I'm never going to work with, and I don't particularly want to work with, or that they're not in my field. So so yeah, there are tangible benefits, but again, it comes back to the point of it's all in how you use it.
Yeah, and I kind of think in some ways it's like you can do smart things in terms of, I think, you know, likes are important and impressions are important, because it's about visibility, right? And you want to be in front of more people. But I guess the key is having that strategy behind the scenes about how you take it from LinkedIn onto other channels, onto other kind of more direct conversations and things like that. That's what you want to start to build. You kind of want to take it off LinkedIn and you know, have a CRM, or start having conversations via email, or you know, like that's kind of what you want, is like, how do you get from the likes to business? So you have to kind of map that out and read, and that's part of your strategy. So I think that's absolutely right. So
it's about building know, like, and trust is the kind of phrase that everyone builds around, and it starts with people getting to know you via what you're talking about and what you're posting about, being approachable so that they feel like they can approach you, but then having some call, you know, having a call to action, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, nobody likes to be sold to, but if you're being useful and interesting, and you're saying, you know, look, I can, you know, if you want to find out more about how I can help, you know, on this, you give people like an inroad, an invitation to sort of get in touch with you. But yeah, that's the tricky thing is journeying people's like connections and engagement into actual kind of into clients.
So if you want to get your LinkedIn activity firing on all cylinders, as the title is, what's the best approach to take to make an impact, or the biggest fire?
Well, in the built environment, obviously it's location. On LinkedIn, I would say engage.
Yeah.
And that is not that it comes in two strands. First of all, treat it like a networking event. Go and have conversations with other people. Comment on other people's content, because that's going to give you visibility.
Yeah.
If you're just posting and acting like a broadcast, then that's going to limit your availability and your visibility. And actually, LinkedIn wants people to be active on the platform. It wants people to be engaging with other content as well as posting their own content. So you will get, you know, the LinkedIn algorithms, the mysterious LinkedIn algorithms more, yes, nobody fully understands them, but I know
Nobody
that,
does.
I know personally that if I'm going to post something, I don't post anything without having engaged and done some engagement first, just to kind of, to show that I'm active on the platform. And also you can get into some great conversations. And also, if you are going to post, no one is going to comment and get engage with your content if you're not going off and engaging and commenting on other people's content. It's got to be a two-way street. And the second thing is post regularly. And I'm sure we're going to come on to that in a bit more detail, but also make sure that you are encouraging engagement. Write in a way that is accessible. Ask questions. Ask for people's views on things. Get a conversation going, because if you are posts that have lots of comments on them will get more visibility.
Yeah.
So
it's like a compounding thing, isn't it? You get a few comments.
It is.
And
exactly.
it just keeps happening
because
like that.
Because LinkedIn wants people being active and engaged with the platform. And if people are commenting on your post, LinkedIn goes, oh, this post is obviously interesting because lots of people are commenting on it. So therefore, I'm going to show it to more people. Yeah. So it's all about, seeing it as a networking. Imagine you're at a networking event. How would you have those conversations? What questions would you ask the people in the room? Get those conversations going. So that is my kind of number one takeaway, I would say, is, engage. And if you are nervous about posting, and some people are really nervous about putting themselves out there, start with commenting. Just get comfortable with commenting on other people's post. And I'm not talking about like just saying great post.
Like this morning, great, congratulations. I think because I couldn't think of what else to say, but generally,
can be supportive. If people are getting promoted and all that, yes, you can be supportive, and that's engagement. But also do meaningful comments. Add something to the discussion. So yeah, that would be my kind of key tip for how to approach LinkedIn.
I think for me, it's like you said, it's about engagement, but it's also being curious. So asking questions, actually using it, using your comments as posts yourself. So if I write a good, well thought through comment, and it's normally stirs up some kind of idea for a post. So I kind of connect those, register those, and then that's a post in a couple of days or whatever when I remember. So I think it's all of that kind of being curious and kind of wanting to engage. And I love the analogy that you gave about, if you're going to an event, you talk to people, and you circulate the room, and that's what you do. And I guess you do the same on LinkedIn. However, you wouldn't then meet me at an event and literally the first thing you say to me is, hi, I'm Io, here's my business card, which is what people do in the DMs. So don't do that. No, because that is an impact. No. That's not a positive one. But I think that's the kind of stuff you need to do to kind of make an impact, is that, in my kind of this morning, I was thinking about this. I was like, actually, there's ways to make a bad impact, which is like posting really obnoxious stuff, or like, so you could still make there's another way of making an impact.
Absolutely. I'm saying don't be a troll. Do not be a troll, because if whatever you write on LinkedIn, everybody can see it, and that's potential clients, that's potential employers, that's potential employees. Yes, just don't.
I have to admit, I have blocked a couple of people in the past couple of weeks because, like, you're just so depressing and moany. It's like, I was just like, I can't do this. Like, you're actually depressing my feed. And like, it's just like everything that person was going on was all about being negative and controversial. And you're like, this isn't nice. And people see it. It's like people see what you're commenting
Absolutely.
on.
It's whatever you're putting on LinkedIn, whether it's a post or whether it's a comment, that's reflecting on you personally. And it's visible for everyone to see. And, people now, if you're, if you looking to work with somebody, you go and check out their social media and see what sort of stuff what they're about, which is, a massive positive, but also it can be a negative if you're being a troll. So no, don't be a troll. As my mum used to say, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Which obviously used to go down really well with me and my brother when we were having an argument.
Just be quiet. You'll be like, no, it's not fair. Anyway, on to the next question. So what should I write about to make an impact?
I mean, there's lots of things to write about. And you've already mentioned about expanding if you're commenting, expanding on a comment that you've made. If you're commenting on someone's post, you think, actually, I've got more to say about this, turn that into a post. But I did actually make a little list of a few ideas, Io. If you'd like me to.
Fantastic. It's like you've done your prep work. I'm impressed.
Yes, I have notes. So I mean, these are just some of the things. And some of these might work for you, some of them don't. I think ultimately think about your strategy and think about some content pillars. So these are kind of key themes, the things that you write about and stuff that you want to get known for. Like, say, for example, my content strategy is I write about writing tips. I write about media interviews because I do media training. So I give tips and talk about, advice and add value, hopefully helping people, with their own writing and, things that they can do in media interviews. I also comment on built environment things sometimes. I comment on workplace stuff. I did a post a couple of weeks ago. There was some interesting research about workspace trends, and I had some thoughts on that. So I did a post on that. And I also occasionally throw in some personal stuff as well. It might be stuff that relates to kind of me as a freelancer, being in business, it might be, something that is again, just something that's happening outside that I want to talk about.
So before you run into your list, like my content are built environment, marketing, and me. So those are my three content. So not too dissimilar. And it's always, like you say, adding a story. There are stories about, but they're nearly always property related or built environment related experiences I've had. And again, it all kind of builds into marketing, and it's general, but it does help me just to shape my content. So onto your ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. And then from that, these are just some ideas for if you're talking about, say, if you want to talk about your business, think about the questions that you get asked regularly. That is a great source of content for me, because I do a lot of training. So there's always questions, or when I'm talking to clients about, pieces of work that I'm doing for them, the questions that they ask, I think actually that would be good. That would make a good post to write about, to write about that, because it's something I'm getting asked a lot. Think about, common problems that your clients have that you help solve, or, you can then, thinking about, we obviously both write about the built environment, think about observations about your sector, your industry, and that can be observations, like for me, it could be observations about sort of content. And people, sometimes I comment on, what's going on LinkedIn and start, different kind of trends and things happening. But then I also comment on, things that are happening in the built environment. So think about your industry, trends that you're seeing, what's influencing, what are the challenges? Can you write about that kind of stuff? I've already mentioned about asking a question, ask opinion, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be you sort of giving your viewpoint on something. It could be, actually, I'm not sure about this. What do other people think? And, that can make an interesting post, and you're asking people to, to get into a conversation. It also shows that you're open to having those conversations, and you're thinking about these things, and you want to, you want to learn and sort of get other people's views. I've already talked about work-life stuff. So what's going on in the office, if you do have a team in an office, I know there's obviously, Io and I don't have an office, and we don't have a team because we're solopreneurs, or whatever we're called these days.
I don't want to label.
But if you say, for example, once a month you have like donuts in the office on a Friday, that can make a nice little social post, showing what you're like, what your business is like to work for, showing, or if you've got a new starter, what do you do to kind of welcome them? These kind of little sort of more social things generally do really, really well on LinkedIn, because it's showing the human side of your business, and it's showing what you are like as a business to work for. So there are just a few ideas.
Yeah. I mean, I guess of late, I guess my most successful posts are the observational ones. So like when I see something when I'm out and about, and I turn that story into something, into a post. And I think probably one of the most successful posts I've had ever was actually about that trip to Tesco's. Which was literally, I was really annoyed because I couldn't buy a cake in Tesco's because you have to have their app. And that was the story. And it was literally, I only took a picture of that Tesco's on the way home after I'd been in a meeting all day, because I thought, actually, I'll take a picture of that. And I wrote that on the train home. And it was like, yeah, it's a bit weird that I couldn't buy my cake. And I did get it from Marks and Spencer across the road. But like, that was my most successful post by far that I've ever had. I think it had 20,000 impressions.
Exactly.
Which is mad.
It is mad. But the reason for that is, which I haven't yet mentioned, is it's being relatable. And something like that is relatable because other people, you know, have had that experience and got frustrated.
Well, yeah, there were people like, I know that Tesco's.
Yeah, and
I walk past it.
You know, it's about finding the stuff that is relatable is, it will generally do really, really well. You know, if you talk about sort of stuff that you're experiencing in business, you know, there's other people that are going to be experiencing that thing, and people makes it easier for people to comment because they relate to it, so they want to say something.
Yeah. So how often should I be posting? Should I be posting to make an impact?
This is such a tricky one, and I'm kind of interested in your take on this too, because when I first started using LinkedIn properly, and I followed some, you know, LinkedIn gurus, and they were recommending for posts 4 times a day, which I tried to do.
I tried. Did you try it?
I tried it, but it was virtually impossible.
Did people think you were nuts and going, what the hell are you doing?
I know. I mean, I think it's important. I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested in your view on this, but I think it's important when you're if you're really, you know, starting from scratch and you're, you know, you haven't had much of a presence at all. I haven't been very active on the platform. I would say do more at the beginning, and then when you've established, you can then sort of tail off. You don't need to post 4 times a day. And actually, I don't think LinkedIn is the right platform for that anyway. It's not like Twitter where you can just tweet, you know, like do 500 tweets a day and there's no bother. I think with LinkedIn, posts tend to have much more longevity and they need time to breathe. So you need to post regularly. Posting like once a month or once every 2 weeks is not going to deliver. Whether I post between 3 and 5 times a week. That might be too much for you. That might be not achievable. So you need to set yourself an achievable goal, but it needs to be regular. And I'd say, you know, ideally, I would say 3 times a week, but that might be not achievable. So, I mean, I know that there are some, you know, very highly respected LinkedIn guru. I hate to use the term guru, but that's what everybody kind of refers to them as, who posts once a week. It's always an absolute cracking post, but bearing in mind that they've been on the platform a long time and they've built up a big network and a big following, so they can probably get away with that. So that's what I think anyway. I don't know what you think, Io, because it's really tricky. It's a really tricky one.
The first thing I wrote was, how long is a piece of string? That was the first
it is.
So I mean, like you, I post most days. And I mean, this week I'm probably posting twice, but that's because I've got these lives and then I do a follow-up afterwards. But generally once a day, it's probably what I do. I think it's interesting, like you say, there are people who are amazing writers and they post once a month, but like you say, it's an amazing post and they've got their networks already built who come in and comment. I think really realistically, if you're an individual, I guess it depends on what you're trying to do. If you want to build fast and you want to make an impact, posting once a week probably isn't going to do that much.
No.
You want to kind of do a couple times a week, but it doesn't have to all be your content. So it could be you do a post and you share an interesting article with a comment, you know what I mean? So, or you share a testimonial, you know, so I think there's lots of kind of different things you can share. So I think that's how you can do it without you having to create tons and tons of stuff yourself. I mean, for example, when I had my website redone last year, I had some Canva templates and I got someone to create a series of carousels from each of like the stories and the content from my website. So I've got like 10 bunches of carousels that I can share whenever I feel like. So I think it's stuff like that can be your, not filler content, but things you can use and talk about that are more generic. So I think it's stuff like that, just thinking around actually what is content, and then that makes it easier to post and make an impact.
And I would add to that, there was two things I would add to that, is repurposing, because just because you posted something once doesn't mean to say everybody in your network has seen it. So don't be afraid of reposting stuff. And secondly, remember, commenting is basically content. So even if you're only posting once or twice a week, ideally, as you say, I twice a week, I would, especially at the beginning, I would be on there every day, spend 15 minutes, 30 minutes every day going and commenting, because all of those comments are building your visibility, because those comments are suddenly visible to your network. You know, if you look at your feed, you get a notification saying, oh, so-and-so that you're connected to commented on this.
Yeah.
That's happening. If you comment, that means that little notification is appearing in your contacts feeds as well. So, and also, be active on the platform every day. You know, you can be active on the platform without posting every day.
And also, I think you want to connect with people as well. I guess that's the other thing. You comment and connect, because that's the thing, is that you want to build up your network, and that's the other bit to fast track your network. And by being supportive of other people's content, they will want to connect with you, as well as their followers. They'll see you and want to connect with you. So
and
it's another way to build your network.
That's a really good tactic, is, you know, if you want to connect with, if there's somebody like a potential client there and you want to connect with them, just get commenting and get them, you know, they get familiar with you because you're commenting, they start commenting your stuff. And then after you've had that engagement, then you can then connect and just, you know, it's a nice little easy intro into, rather than just cold sending out connection requests and people have no idea why you want to connect with them.
Okay, so is there a writing structure or an anatomy for a good LinkedIn post?
It's writing structure. I mean, I think the key thing is I don't have a template, because I think you need to develop, you know, your own style. But the one thing I would say is really important is your first line of your post is prime real estate, to bring it back to the built environment.
So it's the Mayfair of your LinkedIn post.
It's the Mayfair of your LinkedIn post. If you aren't grabbing people's attention, making them stop scrolling through, it's got to stop the scroll, and it's got to make them want to read on. So you've got to answer, why would I care? Why is this interesting? What's in it for me? Why should I invest time? People aren't paid to invest time in your content, so you need to give them a reason to invest in it. So my number one thing is, don't waste your first line going, oh, I was delighted to attend this blah, blah, blah event. Who cares? Ultimately, nobody. You know, if you're talking about, say, you know, events is a good one. If you're talking about going to an event, just talk about what was interesting about it. What did you got? You know, who did you see? Give people a reason to kind of want to click and click the more button and read the rest of your post, because LinkedIn sees that as engagement. If people have clicked the more, that is like the first line of engagement for LinkedIn, because they think, oh, they're interested in this post, they've clicked to read the whole thing. So that would be my that would be my main tip, is you got to make sure that first line is essentially your headline. Make it work hard. You've got to intrigue, you've got to stop the scroll. Think about, you know, are you getting to the point? How quickly are you getting to the point? I mean, you know, and then after that, there's so many different ways you can approach it. You know, to say there's no real template, but also I would make sure to deliver on your headline, on your opening. You know, don't do sort of a very clickbaity type sort of opening line and then not the rest of the post doesn't deliver. It's the same as a clickbait headline. We've all clicked on those when it's over promised and not delivered.
And you get annoyed. Listen to your stuff again. I thought questions is also quite a nice way kind of to start as well. Something that kind of leads you in. oh yeah, I don't know, or I think questions can be quite a nice way to start.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of format, are there any that you recommend that people use to get their LinkedIn activity firing? I can't talk today.
Is this I mean, this is like, there's so many different things you can do on LinkedIn. I mean, written posts are very much the obvious one, but don't sort of dismiss the other, because most people are doing written posts, but not many people are doing video. Not many people are doing carousels. So think about these other mediums, LinkedIn Lives, again, like doing this kind of thing. Obviously, it can be quite scary doing something like this, but think about the other sort of channels that you've got available to you. Pictures, sometimes the picture paints 1,000 words, and you can have a nice picture and a shortish caption to go with it. So there are lots of different, don't just think you've got to write 300 words, and there are other options available to you.
That was good. You just kind of answered the question from Hannah Cox, which was interesting. 3 times per week is a lot for a long post. Are short observational posts sufficient to keep relevant and then mixing it up? And the answer is yes.
Yes, definitely.
Or else you would be writing your LinkedIn all day, Hannah.
Absolutely. And it's as I said, if you see something in the news, like there was the workplace story that I saw, there was some research and there was a story about it on the BBC. So I linked to the story and gave my 2 penneth worth on that particular story. And that didn't take that long to put that together. So no, you don't need to be writing, War and Peace. And also, it's got to be interesting enough to make people want to read a 300 word. I've seen some really, really popular posts that have done really well, and they've been like 2 lines. I mean, you've got to make those 2 lines work, but it doesn't have to be a long post. Mix it up, because if you're writing sort of the full length, the full maximum word count that you've got on a post for every single one, it takes a long time, and I think people get a little bit tired of it because they think, oh, it's going to be another long post, I haven't got time to read that today.
I don't like walls of text either, like really long posts. I find like there's a trend towards really long emails as well, and I give up.
Yeah.
I literally like, it's too long. Where's the point? So I'm not focusing for that long. So that's my mentality though. So it's like, okay. So I've been posted on LinkedIn, but I'm not getting a lot of traction, Stacey. So what should I do?
Are you encouraged? This is a lot of stuff we've already covered. Are you encouraging engagement? Are you encouraging a conversation? Are you posting something that has your audience front of mind? Are you posting things that you find interesting that isn't interesting to your actual audience? Think about what is valuable to the people that you want to connect with and talk to. What is interesting to them? Why would they care about this? Are you engaging with other content? Again, coming back to the point I made, if you're posting but you're not going away, why would anybody come and engage with your content if you're not going away and engaging on theirs? If you start commenting on other people's posts, and they might check out your post and go, oh, what are they writing about? They've made interesting comments. Let's go and check their stuff out. So those are the key things I would say. Are you engaging? Are you writing stuff that's relevant and interesting to your audience? Are you thinking about the audience, or are you thinking about what you just want to tell everybody? It's coming back to that broadcast and that megaphone. Don't think of it as like a networking. You don't go to a networking event and stand in the corner on a soapbox shouting what you
buy me.
Yes. I've been doing this.
Why not? On the back of that, I think the other thing is just to note it does take time to build and work. So like you might think that nobody's seeing your stuff, but they are. Those 200 people or that 300 impressions or whatever, and you're like, oh, that's really low. It's like, well, actually, if you had 300 people in the room listening to you, you'd be quite happy, wouldn't you? So I think, you just got to kind of get yourself in the mindset, actually, you might not think people are seeing it, but they are, even if they're not engaging. Like Stacey said earlier, all about the whole lurker thing. So don't give up. For me, it probably took 6 months to get proper traction. So you have to start building, and that's it. And that's what it takes. So I'm going to I've got a final question, which is around hashtags. Are they worth it? What should I be doing?
I would say yes, they are worth it. I'm following the sort of the LinkedIn gurus who are really kind of, you know, they've got, you know, half a foot in the door with LinkedIn, and they can see what's coming up, and they can see, they're, you know, really monitoring what's changing. And there was some, you know, posts a few weeks ago about how LinkedIn might start attaching more value to hashtags, and how many people are following particular hashtags. I would say, you know, again, interested in what you think about this. I think have a personalized hashtag that people can follow. So mine is hashtag property writer. So if people want to kind of catch everything, I put that on every single post. So if people want to follow that hashtag, they're going to get all my content. So you can have like one that's business specific and just unique to you and your business. Then think about hashtags that are relevant. I mean, LinkedIn actually sets out a guidance. One of the few things it sets out guidance for, and it's 3 to 5. So don't go crazy. Do a minimum of 3, but don't do more than 5, because LinkedIn says it likes 3 to 5 hashtags. So
but LinkedIn changes his mind after a few years anyway.
At the moment, that is. So I would be careful about your hashtags. You know, I suppose it's a little bit like keywords. So for example, if you're writing about the office market and you just put hashtag offices, you think, and that's got, you know, a gajillion followers. Is that really going to get your post much more visibility? Think about sort of being a little bit more specific. And the other tip I would say with hashtags is don't put them in the body of your post.
Oh, you're anti that. I don't like that. I find it's quite disjointed to read it.
Don't put them at the bottom. Put them at the bottom of your post. It's when people include them with the actual text. So they're going down. There's a really interesting thing happening in the hashtag office market at the moment. It makes it really difficult to read. So just put them at the bottom. Keep it nice and neat. Put them at the bottom. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts on hashtags.
Yeah, I mean, I think hashtags are useful, and they are getting more prominence in the overall home feed as well. So, you know, like when you scroll through, you see more, like I follow like the big ones like construction and stuff, and you see more of the posts now. So I think it's worth using, but like you say, 3 to 5 in the main. Sometimes I go more because I like to go crazy. But the other thing is you can use the search bar, tap in the hashtag, click on it, and actually see how many followers it has. Then you can kind of get a gauge on which ones are mega hashtags, which you probably won't get a lot of visibility on, but also which ones are the smaller ones or more niche ones that you might get more visibility on. And actually, it's also a good way to see who else. That's how you can find influencers in yours under that hashtag, and you can see who is posting content. So actually, those are the types of people for certain hashtags who you can engage with and connect with. So that's another kind of way to kind of fast track what you're doing as well, using hashtags as a way to kind of search and find the influencers and the posters in your industry. So on to my final question, which is around tools, resources, and tips. So a bit of a quick fire round. Or not that quick, to be honest. Top tools, resources, and people to follow that you use, I guess, to create LinkedIn magic. Who would you recommend? What would you say?
Okay, so person to follow, I would follow John Asperian, who is brilliant on LinkedIn, and he's one of those that is following LinkedIn really closely and always seems to know what's coming up, know what new features are being introduced, what might be phased out. And what he does is he's very good because he will try different things. Like, for example, he'll do a post with a link in it, see how that performs, and then do another post without a link and see, and he will then sort of talk about his results and say, actually, this is what I found by doing this. So he backs everything he says up with hard evidence, and, you know, stuff that he's actually tried and tested. So I would recommend following John Asperian. In terms of tools, I don't use any scheduling tools or anything like that, but my tip would be, and some people may not have noticed this, but if there is somebody you want to make sure you don't miss any of their posts, go to their profile, and I think it's on the top right hand side under the banner, there's a little bell icon. If you click on that, that means you'll get a notification every time they post. So it's a really good way. I mean, obviously you don't want to do that for people, huge amount of content and just be getting like constant.
I know, because otherwise it does get a bit overwhelming.
Yeah,
You're like, I
but
can
if
only
there,
follow a
if
couple
there
of
is a
people.
small, if there are a small handful of people that you really, that, you know, there might be target people that you want to engage with their content, and you don't want to make sure you don't miss what they're posting. Use the bell icon. So that would be my
my tips. Actually, I've got John Esperian's book there, which is Content DNA, which is very good.
Mm-hmm.
My ones was actually, I guess, free tools. I guess LinkedIn, as you like, look, if you're going to start kind of doing more on LinkedIn, I was like, actually, if you Google LinkedIn SSI score, and that will take you to a free thing, and you can look at your LinkedIn profile, and it gives you a score on in terms of how you're performing, your profile's performing in terms of your industry and how much you're posting and stuff like that, and engagement you're getting. So you can have that score at the start before you start kind of doing more activity, and then just track it and just see, has it gone up? How's it gone down? How it improves over time. So I think that's a quick measurement tool. But it's also worth noting that LinkedIn Analytics has improved massively over the past 6 months for company pages, for individual pages. And you can see a lot more about the companies you're connecting with, the time that they're viewing stuff, what they're doing. So there's a lot more detail there in terms of kind of tracking your performance. So, you know, in 6 months, you can see how you've progressed and what's happened in your connections. And so I think that's all the analytics is kind of useful to know about LinkedIn as well. And then I guess my final tip is Canva. Canva is absolutely brilliant for doing graphics. I used it to do all the graphics for the lives. I've used it to do, you know, all the stuff I do on LinkedIn. I use that. So I've only had a professional designer design my logo, basically, and the assets that I use. But then after that, it's all my own templates in Canva. And that's all the stuff I use. So that's my other tip, is to get handy with that, because it's always good for creating stuff. So yeah, that's it.
Canva is a good call, because you made a video using Canva, and I nicked that idea, and I actually did a video at the beginning of this week using Canva. It was really easy.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it seriously is. All right, let me just quickly scroll forward and see if we've got any more questions from the floor. We have got Hannah's one that we took. We've got a comment from Emma Drake. I think you're right, Stacey, which you always are. Often forget the social in social media. Has relaxed a little, thank goodness. Ellie Garfield says, I feel like everything I say has to be super important and interesting. Tip Ellie, doesn't have to be. Observationally boring. That's always a nice thing to go for. And Hannah joined, and she said that the reason she joined was she would like to learn any tips that you are happy to share, all ears, which I think we've shared quite a lot. So thank you so much for being an amazing guest, Stacey. And
thank you for inviting me. Chuffed to bits to be on the podcast finally.
Finally, how do people find you? I forgot to say.
Guess what? I'm on LinkedIn.
On that note,
yeah, but I'm also, or you can check out my website, which is staceymeadwell.com.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.